Now the next question is, if the compound interest earned on a certain sum for 2 years is twice the amount of simple interest in 2 years, then rate of interest per annum is. So we know that compound interest is given by P 1 plus R upon 100 to the power n minus 1, and this is 2 times simple interest, which is simply P into R into T upon 100. Now here P, it will cancel, so we can write 1 plus R upon 100 square, and it is equal to 4R upon 100 plus 1, and there will be 4R plus 100 upon 100. So we can write this is R plus 100 square, and there will be 400R plus 10,000. So we'll get this as R square plus 10,000 plus 200R, and that is 400R plus 10,000. So it'll cancel. So we'll get either the value of R as 0, or we'll get value of R as 200. So basically R is 200%, and that's your option number A. Now question number 22, it says the maximum value of n for which 21 to the power n divides factorial 50. Now for this question we'll use de Polignac's formula, and the formula is exponent of any prime number p in factorial n is given by greatest integral function of n upon p, greatest integral function of n upon p square, and will continue up to infinite, and there will be some point where this n upon p to the power n will be less than 1. In all such cases, value of this greatest function will be simply 0. Now in this question we'll need to find largest value of n for which 21 to the power n divides factorial 50. So 21 to the power n is actually 3 to the power n, 7 to the power n, and we'll need to find exponent of 3 to the power n, 7 to the power n in factorial 50. Now in factorial 50 there'll be more 3 to the power n than 7 to the power n. So what we'll do is we'll actually find exponent of 7 in factorial 50. So exponent of 7 in factorial 50 will be 50 by 7, 50 by 7 square, 50 by 7 cube, and so on. Now 50 by 7 is 7 point something. Its greatest integral function is 7. Now 50 by 49 is 1, and all other values they'll be less than 1. So their greatest integral function will simply be 0. So exponent of 7 in this factorial 50 is 8. So the maximum value of natural number n for which 21 to the power n divides factorial 50 is simply 8. And that's your option number C. Now question number 23, it says find the remainder when 29 to the power 29 to the power 29 is divided by 9. Now we'll use shortcut. So we'll express 29 as 27 plus 2, and 27 is 9 into 3, which is the multiple of 9. So 9 plus 3 into 2 to the power. So we can write this number as 9 into 3 plus 2 to the power 29 to the power 29. Now we need divisibility by 9. So we can leave this factor. Then its remainder will be 2 to the power 29 to the power 29. Now for the powers of 2, we need to find a number which is close to any multiple of 9. So we know that 2 to the power 6 is 64, which is 63 plus 1. So we can actually write this as 2 to the power 5 into 2 to the power 24, which is 2 to the power 6 to the power 3 to the power 29. So it will be 2 to the power. Now 29 into 5 is 145. So it will be 2 to the power 145, and 2 to the power 64 is actually 9 into 7 plus 1 to the power 29 into 3. Now again we'll need multiple of 9. So remainder is simply 1. So it will be 2 to the power of 145. Now again we can write 2 to the power 145 as 2 into 2 to the power of 144, which will be 2 to the power 6 to the power 24. Now 2 to the power 6 again is 9 into 7 plus 1 to the power 24. Again remainder is 1, which is multiplied with 2. So the remainder when 29 to the power 29 to the power 29 is divided by 9 is simply 2, and that's your option number B. Now question number 24 is placing which of the following two digits at the right end of 4530 make the resulting 6-digit number divisible by 6, 7 and 9. Now first what we'll do is we'll find sum of digits. Sum of digits is 5 plus 4 plus 3 plus 0 and 12. Now for divisibility by 9, sum of digits must be divisible by 9. So that means sum of remaining digits, it should be either 6 or 15. So 9 plus 6, 15, 7 plus 8, 15, 4 plus 2, 6 and 5 plus 4, 9. So 54 cannot be the right option. Now all these numbers, they are even and they are divisible by 9. So they'll be divisible by 6 also. Now we need to find out of these numbers, which of the numbers are divisible by 7. So we'll divide this number by 7. Then we'll get 6. 42 minus 45 minus 42 is 3, 33, 4, 28, 28 and 43, 50, 7, 7, 49. And then we'll have 1. And then if we'll take 96, then it'll be 19. So there'll be 2 and 7, 8, 56. So that means the number which is divisible by 7 is 453096 and that's your option number A. Now in question number 25 it says, in a school 70% of the boys like cricket and 50% like football. If X% like both cricket and football, then now we know that suppose NA is 70 and NB is 50. Now X% likes both cricket and football. So that means N A intersection B and this is equal to X. Now we know that N A intersection B should be less than or equal to NA and it should also be less than or equal to NB. So from here we can write N A intersection B should be less than equal to 70 and also N A intersection B should also be less than or equal to 50. Now we also know that NA union B is NA plus NB minus NA intersection B. Now NA union B is always less than equal to 100. Now NA is 70, so 70 plus 50, so it will be 120 minus NA intersection B is less than equal to 100. So that is the value of NA intersection B is always greater than equal to 20. So this value of X, it should be greater than equal to 20 but less than equal to 50 and that's your option number A. Now question number 26 it says, in a class of 65 students, 40 like cricket, 25 like football and 20 like hockey, 10 students like both cricket and football, 8 students like both football and hockey and 5 students like all 3 sports. If all the students like at least one sport, then number of students who like both cricket and hockey is. So we know that N, suppose we'll take C for cricket, F for football and H for hockey. So N C union F union H is NC plus NF plus NH minus N C intersection F minus N F intersection H minus N C intersection H and plus N C intersection F intersection H. Now all the students like at least one sport. So that means N C union F union H is 65. Now NC is 40 plus 25 plus 20 minus cricket and football 10, football and hockey 8 and we need to find cricket and hockey and then plus all 3 sports is 5. So we can write this as 65 and there'll be 2 plus 5, 7 minus N C intersection H. So number of elements in C intersection H is simply 7 and that's your option number A. So the number of students who like both cricket and hockey is 7. Now question number 27 it says, if X belongs to AB satisfies this inequality, X minus 3 upon X square plus 3X plus 2 is greater than equal to 1, then the largest possible value of B minus A is. So we can write this as X minus 3 upon X square plus 3X plus 2 minus 1 and it should be greater than equal to 0. So we'll write x minus 3 minus x square minus 3x minus 2 upon x plus 1, x plus 2, and it should be greater than equal to 0. So from here we can write minus x square minus 2x minus 5 upon x plus 1, x plus 2 is greater than equal to 0. We'll take minus common and we'll multiply it on the right hand side. We'll write x square plus 2x plus 5 into x plus 1, x plus 2 is less than equal to 0. Now this expression in the numerator, it's a quadratic expression with the value of d as 4 minus 20, which is less than 0. Now d is less than 0 and coefficient of x square is positive. So that means this expression is always positive. So if expression doesn't change sign, we can remove the expression from the inequality. So we'll remove it. So the only critical points that we'll have here is minus 2 and minus 1. So it'll be plus, minus and plus. And since both 1 and minus 1, they are in the denominator, both of them, they won't be included. So this interval a comma b will be minus 2 comma minus 1. Now what is the largest possible value of b minus a? So it'll be minus 1 plus 2. That's 1, and that's your option number B. Now question number 28, it's a past J question, and it says if a, b, c are real numbers such that a square plus b square plus c square equals to 1, then the set of values ab plus bc plus ca can take is. We can use am and gm for three set of numbers. We can write a square plus b square by 2 is always greater than equal to under root of a square b square, which will simply be ab. B square plus c square by 2 is always greater than bc, and c square plus a square by 2 is always greater than equal to ca. Now we'll add all of them. Then we can write a square plus b square plus c square is always greater than equal to ab plus bc plus ca, which is this expression, and say this is y. So from here we can say a square plus b square plus c square, which is 1. 1 is greater than equal to y. So that is value of y is always less than or equal to 1. Now for the lower bound, we can take this expression, which is a plus b plus c square. And we know that square of any number is always greater than equal to 0. So we can write a square plus b square plus c square plus 2 ab plus bc plus ca is always greater than equal to 0. Now this value is 1 and this is y is always greater than equal to 0. So from here we'll say y is always greater than equal to minus 1 by 2. So this value of y will always be greater than equal to minus 1 by 2 and less than equal to 1. So that means y belongs to this set, which is from minus 1 by 2 to 1, and that's your option number D. Now question number 29 is a simple logarithmic inequality question, and it says this inequality, which is log to the base 2, and this is 3x minus 1 upon 2 minus x, and it is less than 1. Now in case of a logarithmic inequality, first thing that we'll do is we'll find its domain. So we'll write 3x minus 1 upon 2 minus x, it should be greater than 0. So roots are 1 by 3 and then 2. So rightmost is minus, plus and minus. So the value of x should lie between 1 by 3 and 2. Now we'll solve this inequality using antilog. Now since base of this log is greater than 1, we know that it is an increasing function. So we'll take antilog, sign of inequality, it won't change. So we can write 3x minus 1 upon 2 minus x, it is less than 2 to the power 1, which is 2. So we'll write 3x minus 1 minus 4 plus 2x upon 2 minus x, it is less than 0. So we'll write 5 x minus 1, 2 minus x is less than 0. So here the critical points are 1 and 2. So it'll be minus, plus and minus. We'll need minus. So either the value is less than 1 or the value of x is greater than 2. Now we'll need to take intersection of both the conditions. So we'll take both the solution on same number line. So this is 1 by 3 and 2. So it lies between 1 by 3 and 2. And the second one says it is less than 1 or greater than 2. So the interval which is common to both is when the value of x lies between 1 by 3 and 1. And that's your option number A. Now question number 30, it says the set of values of x for which this inequality, which is 0.7 to the power 2x square minus 3x plus 4 is less than 0.343, which actually is 0.7 cube. Now we know that when the number lies between 0 and 1, as the power increases, the value decreases. So that means this 0.7 to the power 2x square minus 3x plus 4 will be less than 0.7 to the power 3 if 2x square minus 3x plus 4 is greater than 3. So from here we can write 2x square minus 3x plus 1, it should be greater than 0. So it will be 2x minus 1 and then x minus 1, it should be greater than 0. So we'll get this as 1 by 2 and 1, and it is plus, minus and plus, we'll need plus. So that is the value of x is either less than 1 by 2 or greater than 1, and that's your option number D. Now question number 31, it says a chord is drawn inside a circle such that length of the chord is equal to the radius of the circle. So we have a circle and then we have a chord on this circle whose length is equal to radius of the circle. So if this is R, and length of the chord is also R, so then this triangle is an equilateral triangle, which means all these angles, they are 60 degrees. So we'll drop a perpendicular. We can find this length, and this length will be R sine 60, and R sine 60 is root 3 R upon 2. Now it says two circles are drawn, one on each side of the chord, each touching the chord at its midpoint. So we have two circles and each touching the chord at its midpoint. We need to find ratio of areas of bigger circle and smaller inscribed circle. So first we'll find radius of both the circles. This is say R small, and suppose for this one it is say R big. Now if we have to find this R small, we know that this length, it is equal to R, and this length is root 3 R by 2. So diameter of this smaller circle will be 2 R small, and will be R 1 minus root 3 by 2. So we can write radius of this smaller circle as R 2 minus root 3 by 2. Now we'll find the radius of this bigger circle. So its diameter, which is 2 times of RB, and they'll be equal to this R and then plus this length, which is root 3 R by 2. So from here we'll get RB as R and 2 plus root 3 by 4. Now we need to find ratio of their areas, and this ratio is equal to K. So we can write K as pi RB square upon pi S square. So here pi and pi will cancel. We can write RB upon RS square. Now RB upon RS actually is, here will be R by 4. So here RB upon RS will be 2 plus root 3 upon 2 minus root 3, and here it will be 2 plus root 3 whole square upon 1. So it will be 4 plus 3, 7 plus 4 root 3. So this value will be 7 plus 4 root 3 whole square. So it will be 49 plus 48. There will be 97 and plus 56 root 3, and that's your option number D. Now question number 32, it says points PQRS are taken on sides AB, BC, CD and D of square ABCD. So suppose we have a square which is the ABCD. And then we have points PQRS such that ratio of AP and PB is 1:n. So we have this point P here, and say this is point Q, this is R, and this is suppose S. And these points are A, B, C and D. And this ratio is 1:n ratio. Suppose length of the side is 1 unit. So then here it will be 1 upon n plus 1. And this one it will be n upon n plus 1. Here again this is 1 upon n plus 1. This one is n upon n plus 1. Again 1 upon n plus 1. N upon n plus 1. And this one is again 1 upon n plus 1. N upon n plus 1. Now clearly this PQRS, it is also a square whose length is, say, L. So from Pythagoras theorem we can say L square is 1 upon n plus 1 square plus n upon n plus 1 square. So it will be n square plus 1 upon n plus 1 square. So that is the area of this square PQRS. Now area of ABCD, we have taken this length as 1, so it will be simply 1. So ratio of this area of PQRS upon ABCD will be n square plus 1 upon n plus 1 whole square. And that's your option number C. Now question number 33 is, on a circular path of radius 6, a boy starts at a point A on the circumference and walks along the chord AB of length 3 meter. He then walks along another chord BC of length 2 meter to reach point C. The point B lies on the minor arc AC. We need to find distance between point C from point A. So we have this circle whose radius is 6, and then a boy starts from point A on circumference and walks along a chord of length 3 meter. So we have a chord AB whose length is 3 meter. And it is given that radius of this circle is 6 meter. Now from B, it walks along another chord BC of length 2 meter. So now we have another chord which is BC. And its length is 2 meter. We need to find distance between point C and point A. Now first we'll complete these triangles. Now this is 6, and this is also 6. Now let this angle be theta 1 and this angle be theta 2. Now we can use cosine formula to find theta 1 and theta 2. So we can find cos theta 1 as 6 square plus 6 square minus 3 square upon 2, 6 into 6. So there will be 72, 72 minus 9, there will be 63 upon 72, and that is simply 7 by 8. And we can write cos theta 2, and it will be 6 square plus 6 square minus 2 square upon 2 into 6 into 6. So there will be 72 minus 4, 68 upon 72. So it will be 1, 7. So there will be 17 by 18. Now we'll find cos theta 1 plus theta 2. And for that, we'll also need sin theta 1 and sin theta 2. So what is sin theta 1? Sin theta 1 will be under root of 1 minus 49 by 64. So there'll be 8. And then 64 minus 49, there'll be under root 15. And we'll also find sin theta 2. So sin theta 2 will be 1 minus 17 square upon 18 square. So there'll be 18. And then a plus b into a minus b. A minus b is 1. A plus b is 35. So there'll be under root 35. So first we'll find cos theta 1 plus theta 2. So cos a plus b is cos a cos b minus sin a sin b. So it'll be 7 into 17 minus under root 15 into under root 35 divided by 8 into 18. And that is 119 minus 5 under root 21 divided by 144. Now again we'll use cosine formula for this triangle, triangle AOC. We can write AC square as 6 square plus 6 square minus 2, 6 into 6, and then cos theta 1 plus theta 2. So it will be 72 minus 72, so there will be 72 and 1 minus cos theta 1 plus theta 2. So we can write this as 72 and then 1 minus, now what's cos? It is 119 minus 5 root 21 upon 144. So we can write this as 72 and this is 1 minus, now cos theta 1 plus theta 2 is 119 minus 5 under root 21 upon 144. So there'll be 72 and then 144 minus 119. So it'll be 25 plus 5 root 21 upon 144. We can further simplify this as 50 plus 10 root 21 upon 4, and we can write this as under root 15 plus under root 35 upon 2 whole square. So that is the value of AC must be root 15 plus root 35 upon 2, and that's your option number A. Root 15 plus root 35 upon 2. Now question 34 is, we need to find area enclosed by the curve 2 mod x plus 3 mod y, and this is equal to 6. So we can write this as mod x upon 3 plus mod y upon 2 equals to 1. So this equation or this curve is actually a quadrilateral, and we can draw it like this. So this is 3, 0 and minus 3, 0, and this is 0, 2 and 0, minus 2. Now diagonals are perpendicular, so its area will be 1 by 2 into, now this length is 6 and this length is 4, so that should be 12 square unit, and that's your option number A. Now question number 35 is, 2 points on a ground are 1 meter apart. A car moves on the field in such a way that distance from 2 points is always in the ratio 3:2. Then we need to find locus of this moving car. So we have 2 points, say A and B, and then we have a point P which moves such that PA upon PB is 3:2. So PA upon PB is 3:2. So let this point A be 0, 0 and let B be 1, 0, and this point P, let it be alpha and beta. Now we can write 4PA square, and it is equal to 3 times PB square. Now 4, what's PA square? PA square is alpha square plus beta square, and what's PB square? It is alpha minus 1 square plus beta square, which is nothing but a circle, and that's your option number B. Now question number 36, it says, given that cos x plus cos y is 1, we need to find range of sin x minus sin y. Now let this sin x minus sin y be, say, z. Let z equals sin x minus sin y, and it is given that 1 equals cos x plus cos y. Now what we'll do is we'll square and add. So we'll square and add, we'll write z square plus 1, and this sin square x plus cos square x 1, sin square y plus cos square y 1, and then plus 2, it will be cos x cos y minus sin x sin y. So we can write z square plus 1, and this is 2 plus, and this is 2 cos x plus y. So we can write cos x plus y as z square minus 1 by 2, and we know that value of cos will lie between minus 1 and plus 1. So from here we can write z square minus 1 will lie between minus 2 and plus 2. Then we can write z square will lie between minus 1 and 3. This is true for all the values of z, and from here we can write mod of z is less than equal to root 3. That is, value of z will lie between minus root 3 and plus root 3, and that's your option number D. Now question number 37, it says, if sin theta plus cos theta is m, then sin 6 theta plus cos 6 theta is equal to what? Now we know that we can write sin 6 theta plus cos to the power 6 theta as sin square theta cube plus cos square theta cube. So a cube plus b cube is a plus b whole cube. So there'll be sine square theta plus cos square theta whole cube minus 3 ab, which is sine square theta into cos square theta, and then a plus b. Again, there'll be sine square theta plus cos square theta. Now sine square theta plus cos square theta will be 1. So it'll be 1 minus 3, and we can write this as sine theta cos theta whole square, and again sine square theta plus cos square theta is 1. Now we'll square this expression. We can write sine square theta plus cos square theta. So that is 1 plus 2 sine theta cos theta, and that should be equal to m square. So from here we can write value of sine theta into cos theta. It will be m square minus 1 by 2. So we'll put the value of sine theta into cos theta. So the value of this expression, it will be 1 minus 3, and we can write this as m square minus 1 upon 2 whole square. And that's your option number D. Now question number 38 is, if the inverse of matrix, say A, is 1, 1, 2, 4, which is A inverse, we need to find value of x. Now we know that A into A inverse is equal to identity matrix. So we can write 2 minus 1 by 2 minus 1 x into 1, 1, 2, 4. It must be equal to 1, 0, 0, 1. Now we'll multiply these two matrix. So here it will be 2 minus 1 will be 1, and then 2 minus 2, 0. Here it will be minus 1 plus 2x, and then it will be minus 1 plus 4x, and it should be equal to 1, 0, 0, 1. Now we'll compare, we'll get the value of x as 1 by 2. So we'll put x as 1 by 2 here, then we'll get this value as 1. So answer to this question is value of x should be 1 by 2, which is 0.5, option A. Now question number 39 says this function fx is positive and monotonically increasing or decreasing in which of the following interval. So first we'll solve the interval where this function is positive or negative. So we'll write this as x cube minus 5x square minus 8x by 3, and it should be greater than 0. So we can take this x common. We can write x square minus 5x minus 8 upon 3. It is greater than 0. So we can, so the critical points are 0 and then 5 plus minus, and will be 25 plus 32 under root 57 by 2. We can put it on number line. We can write 5 minus root 57 by 2, and then 0, and then 5 plus under root 57 by 2. Now rightmost is positive, so this is plus, minus, plus and minus. So it will be positive when the value of x lies between 5 minus root 57 by 2 and 0, or when it is greater than 5 plus root 57 by 2. Now we'll find where this function is increasing or decreasing. So for that we'll find f dash x. So we'll find f dash x. We can write 3x square minus 10x minus 8 upon 3. Now we'll factorize. We can factorize this as 3x square minus 12x plus 2x minus 8 upon 3. So it will be 3x plus 2 x minus 4 upon 3. We'll put it on number line. So here it will be minus 2 by 3 and then plus 4. So it is plus, minus and plus. So it will be increasing when x is less than minus 2 by 3 or greater than 4, and it will be decreasing when x lies between minus 2 by 3 and 4. So in this interval, when x is less than 5 minus root 57 by 2, this value it is negative, and 5 minus root 57 by 2, this value is actually less than minus 2 by 3. So in that case, this function will be an increasing function. So this function will be negative and increasing in this first interval, which is minus infinite, 5 minus root 57 by 2, and then it will be positive and increasing in this second interval. So answer to this question is option number C. Now question number 40, it says for a greater than b greater than c greater than 0, the minimum value of this function, which is fx mod x minus a plus mod x minus b plus mod x minus c is. Now if we look at this expression, this is nothing but this is deviation of x from these three given numbers a, b and c, and we know that mean deviation about median is the minimum. So this function fx will assume its minimum value at the median of this series, which is a, b and c. Now since a, b, c, they are arranged in descending order, its median will be b. So this function f will have minimum value when the value of x is b. So we can write this as mod of b minus a plus 0 plus mod of b minus c. Now since b is less than a, so this one is a minus b, and here we can write this as b minus c. So its value simply will be a minus c. So the minimum value of this function will be a minus c, and that's your option number D. Now question number 41 is, let alpha and beta be the roots of this equation and gamma and delta be the roots of other equation where p and q are integers. If alpha, beta, gamma, delta are in geometric progression, we need to find the value of p plus q. It is given that alpha, beta, gamma and delta, they are in GP. So what we'll do is we'll write these roots as alpha, alpha r square and alpha r cube. Now for this first one, sum of roots, which is alpha 1 plus r, it is equal to 1. And for the second equation, alpha r square 1 plus r, and this value is equal to 4. So if we'll divide it, we can write r square equals 4. Then the value of r is simply plus or minus 2. Now we'll take r as 2, then we'll get alpha as 1 by 3. Then the roots are 1 by 3, 2 by 3, 4 by 3 and 8 by 3. Now p is product of roots. Now in this case, value of p is a fraction which is not an integer. So that means this case will not give us the values of p and q. So we have to consider the second case when the value of r is minus 2. So if the value of r is minus 2, then the value of alpha is simply minus 1. Then the roots are minus 1 and then 2 and then minus 4 and then plus 8. Now we can find p, which is product of roots of this first equation, which is minus 2, and q, which is product of roots of second equation, which is minus 32. Now what is the value of p plus q? Value of p plus q will be simply minus 34, and that's your option A. Now question number 42 is, if 1 plus x minus 2x squared to the power 6 is equal to a naught plus a1x plus a2x square plus a12x to the power 12, we need to find the value of a2 plus a4 plus a6 plus a12. Now we'll put x as 1, we can write a naught plus a1 plus a2 plus a12, and this value, it will be equal to 0. Now if we'll put x as minus 1, then we can write a naught minus a1 plus a2 and then plus a12. In that case, it will be simply 2 to the power 6, and 2 to the power 6 is 64. Now we'll add them. If we'll add them, we'll write 2 times a naught plus a2 plus a12, and this is 64. So that is a naught plus a2 plus a4 plus a12, and this is 32. Now we need to find sum of this series, which starts from a2. So we need to find the value of a naught. And how do we find a naught? If we'll simply put x as 0, then we'll get 1 equals a naught. So that is the value of a naught is 0. So that means the value of this series, which is a2 plus a4 plus a12, will be 32 minus 1, and that is 31, and that's your option number A. Now question number 43, it says, the number of terms common to both the arithmetic progressions 258 up to 179 and 3579 up to 101 is. Now for this first arithmetic progression, its general term is given by 2 plus n minus 1 into d, which is 3. So it will be 3n minus 1. And for the second one, its general term will be 3 plus, say, m minus 1 into 2. So that should be 2m plus 1. Now in this first series, 3n minus 1 is equal to 179. So value of n is 60. So there are 60 terms in this first sequence, and in this second sequence, which is 2m plus 1, it goes up to 101. So value of m is 50. So in the second sequence, there are 50 terms. Now we need to find number of terms which is common to both the arithmetic progressions. So for this first AP, its general term is 3n minus 1. And for the second one, it is 2m plus 1. So we have to find integral values of n and m so that 3n minus 1 must be equal to 2m plus 1. So from here we can write m equals 3n minus 2 upon 2, or value of m is 3 by 2n minus 1. Now since m is an integer, it implies that this n by 2, it must be an integer. That means this n, it should be an even number. And also this value of m, it lies between 1 to 50. So from here we can say this value is 3 by 2 n minus 1, and it is greater than or equal to 1 but less than or equal to 50. So we'll write this as 2 is less than or equal to 3 by 2n is less than or equal to 51. So 4 by 3 is less than or equal to n, less than, and will be 102 by 3, and that is 34. So value of n will be greater than 1.3 something, and it is always less than or equal to 34. So we need to find all the integral values of n which are even. So values of n are 2, 4, 6 up to 34, and that will be 17 such values. So answer to this question is 17. Number of terms common to both the arithmetic progressions is 17. Now question number 44 is, from a pack of 52 cards, we draw one by one without replacement. If Fn be the probability that an ace will appear at the nth turn, then we need to find F2 and F3. So F2 is ace appears at the second turn. So either it could be no ace in the first, and then we have ace in the second, or it could be ace in the first and then ace in the second as well. Now if we do not get ace in the first, this probability will be given by 48 by 52 into, now ace in the second is 4 by 51 because it is without replacement, and then plus, now ace in first, so there are 4 ace out of 52, and then second is also ace, so there will be 3 and 51. So we can take this 4 common, so it will be 4, and then 48 plus 3, it is 51. It will be 52 into 51, which will cancel. So it is 1 by 13. So the probability that the ace will appear at the second turn is 1 by 13. Now we'll find the probability that ace will appear at the third turn. So if it appears at the third turn, it could be either no ace in the first two and then third ace, or it could be no ace and then 2 aces, or it could be all the 3 aces. So if it is no ace in first two, then it will be 48 by 52, 47 by 51, then 4 by 50, and then not ace, so it will be 48 by 52, and then ace, it will be 4 by 51, and then it will be 3 by 50. Now there could be two such cases, either it could be a dash AA or it could be a dash A. So that means we'll need to multiply it with 2. Now for AAA, it will be 4 by 52, 3 by 51, and 2 by 50. We can find F3 by adding all the 3 expressions, 52 into 51 into 50, and then it will be 9024 plus 1152 plus 24, and that should be 10200, and this is 52, 51 and 50. So 50, so there'll be 200, 4, and 4 by 52 is 1 by 13. So basically F2 and F3, they have same probability, they are equally likely. Now question number 45 is, a die is thrown 3 times and the sum of 3 numbers is found to be 15. We need to find the probability that first throw was a 4. So it's a conditional probability question. So suppose event A is first throw was a 4 and event B is sum of 3 numbers is 15. Now first we look at how do we get this sum 15. Now we know that if we'll get all 6, then the sum it will be 18. So in order to get 15, we need to remove 3. Now we need to find all the ways in which we can remove this 3 from the 3 given numbers. So either it could be 3, 6, 6, that is we have subtracted 3 itself, or we can remove 2 and 1. Then in that case it will be 6, 5 and 4, or we can remove 1, 1 and 1 from each of the number. Then it will be 5, 5 and 5. Now total number of ways of getting 366 is factorial 3 divided by factorial 2. That is 3 ways. 654, that should be factorial 3, that is 6. And then 555, there is only 1 way. So the total number of ways in which we can get this sum 15 is 10. So probability of getting the sum 15 is 10 divided by 6 to the power 3. Now we need to find this probability, which is probability that first throw was a 4 if the sum is 15. So we know that this probability is equal to probability of A intersection B upon probability of B. Now first we need to calculate probability of A intersection B. Now probability of A intersection B is when we have 4 here and then the other two numbers can be either 5, 6 or 6, 5. So P intersection B will be 2 upon 6 cube. So this probability of A upon B will be 2 upon 6 cube divided by 10 upon 6 cube, and which is 1 by 5. Now question number 46 is, in a given village there are only 3 size of families: families with 2 members, families with 4 members and families with 6 members. The proportion of families with 2, 4 and 6 members are roughly equal. So that means suppose we have 3 families, families with 2 members, that is F2, families with 4 members and families with 6 members, and their proportion is 1 is to 1. So suppose there are X F2 families, there are X F4 families, and then there are X F6 families. Now if we'll find number of people who live in 2-member families, so number of people in 2-member families will be simply 2x. Number of people with 4 members is simply 4x, and number of people with 6 members is simply 6x. So what is the proportion of people living in 2, 4 and 6 respectively? So this is P2 ratio P4 is to P6. This is 2 is to 4 is to 6. So if a person is selected at random, then the probability that the person will report his family size is 2. It is 2 by 12. For 4 it is 4 by 12, and for 6 it is 6 by 12. Now if we'll find average value of this random variable x, which is size of family, so it will be 4 by 12 plus 16 by 12 plus 36 by 12, so it will be 56 by 12, which is nearly 4.667, and that's your option number B. Now here the question is, the value of 1 upon log 30 base 3 plus 1 upon log 900 base 4. So we can write this as log 30 square to the base 2 square plus 1 upon log 30 to the base 5. Now we can take this power 2 out, and we also know this property where we'll take power of this base out, and when we take power of this base out, we take it in reciprocal. So this 2 and this 2 will cancel. So we can actually write this as 1 upon log 30 base 3 plus 1 upon log 30 base 2 plus 1 upon log 30 base 5. Now we'll use base changing property, and which is log b base a is 1 upon log a base b. So if we'll use this property, we can write this as log 3 base 30 plus log 2 base 30 and plus log 5 base 30. Now log m plus n is log m into n. So it'll be simply log 30, and here it'll be 6 into 5, again 30. Log a base a is simply 1. So answer to this question is 1, and that's your option number D. Now question number 48, it says this inequality, which is log fx to the base a is less than log gx to the base a, implies that. Now we know that there are two graphs of log. If base is greater than 1, then it is strictly increasing function. Now when the base lies between 0 and 1, in that case log is strictly decreasing. So if we'll take this first case, when a is greater than 1, in that case this function is strictly increasing, and if the function is strictly increasing, then if we'll cancel this log with log, sign of inequality does not change. In that case we'll get fx is less than gx. But if a lies between 0 and 1, in this case it'll be strictly decreasing, and when we'll take anti-log, in that case sign of inequality, it will reverse. Then we'll get fx is greater than gx. So answer to this question will be fx will be less than gx when a is greater than 1, and fx will be greater than gx when a lies between 0 and 1, and that's your option number A. Now question number 49 is 3 cubes with integer lengths are given. It is known that sum of their surface areas is 564. Then the possible values of sum of their volumes are. Now suppose their lengths are A, B and C. Then sum of their surface areas will be A square plus B square plus C square into 6, and that should be equal to 564. So from here we'll write A square plus B square plus C square. It will be 564 divided by 6. So there'll be 6954 and 4. So that should be equal to 94. Now we'll need to find integral values of A, B and C such that A square plus B square plus C square is 94. Now if we'll write perfect squares, then it'll be 1 square, 2 square, 3 square, 4 square, 5 square, 6 square, 7 square, 8 square and 9 square. 1 square is 1, 2 square is 4, 3 square is 9, 4 square is 16, 5 square is 25, 6 square is 36, 7 square is 49, 8 square is 64 and 9 square is 81. Now if we'll start with the highest number, suppose one of the value is 9. So if we'll take suppose A as 9, then we'll get B square plus C square, and there'll be 94 minus 81. 94 minus 81 is simply 13. Now how do we get 13? We'll get 13 when we take 4 and 9. So that means other two numbers must be 2 square and 3 square. So one of the possibility is when we have this combination which is 9 square, 2 square and 3 square. Now we'll take 8 square which is 64. Then in that case we'll get B square plus C square, and that should be 94 minus 64, and there'll be 30. Now it is not possible to have this sum 30 with two numbers. So 8 square, it is not possible. Now we'll consider 7 square. 7 square is 49. 94 minus 49, that'll be, so we'll get B square plus C square, and it must be equal to 45. And we know that 36 plus 9 is 45. Then other combination will be 7 square, 6 square and 3 square, and there are only two options possible. So one of them will be with the values 2, 3 and 9, and the other one will be with the values 3, 6 and 7. Now we need to find sum of their volumes. So sum of their volumes will be 8 27 plus 729. There'll be 764, and the volume of the second one will be 27, 216 and 343. There'll be 586. So these two volumes are 764 and 586, and that's your option number A. Now question 50, it says determine the greatest number among the following four numbers. Now first one is 2 cube to the power 100, so there'll be 8 to the power 100. Second one is 3 squared to the power 100, so there'll be 9 to the power 100, so that's your A. That's B. We'll come back to C in a bit. D is 4 to the power 100. Now this C is 2 to the power 100 plus 3 to the power 100. Now we know that 2 to the power 100 is less than 3 to the power 100. So this value is actually less than 9 to the power 100. Highest value among all these four numbers is this B, and that is 3 to the power 200. Now question number 51 is the number of points having both coordinates as integers that lie on the interior of triangle with the vertices 0, 0, 0, 31 and 31, 0. So we'll draw this triangle. So this is 0, 0, this is 31, 0, and this is 0, 31. Now equation of this line will be x plus y equals 31. Now first we'll count all the points that will lie on this line, which is y equals 1. So I'll start with 1, 1, and then this point, if we'll put y as 1, we'll get x as 30. So the point which lies inside will be 29, 1. If we'll take y as 2, then we'll start with 2, 1, and then on this line it'll be 29. So here it will be 28, 1. So we get the sequence where we'll have 29 points on this first line, 28 on second, 27 on third. So number of such points having both coordinates as integers which lies inside this triangle will be 1 plus 2 plus 3 up to 29, and which is n plus 1 by 2. So that is 29 into 30 by 2, and that is 435. So total number of such points is 435, and that's your option number A. Now question number 52 is two small insects which are x meters apart take u minutes to pass each other when they are flying towards each other, and v minutes to meet each other when they are flying in the same direction. Then we need to find ratio of the speed of the slower insect to that of the faster insect. So we have two insects which are x meters apart. Now suppose this is insect 1, and here we have suppose insect 2. Its velocity is say u1 and its velocity is say u2, and let us assume that u2 is less than u1. Now if they travel in the opposite direction, then x is equal to, now relative velocity will be sum of these two velocities, which will be u1 plus u2 and then into time. So the time they take is simply u minutes. So from here we can simply say u1 plus u2, it will be equal to x upon u. Now when they move in the same direction, that is suppose u2 is moving in that direction, and since u1 is greater than u2, after some time this u1 is going to overtake u2. In that case, this x will be u1 minus u2 into time now is v units. So it will be v. So from here we can say u1 minus u2 is x upon v. So we'll divide both of them, then we can write u1 plus u2 upon u1 minus u2, it is equal to v upon u. Now we need to find ratio of speed of the slower insect to that of the faster insect. That means we need to find u2 upon u1. So we'll use componendo dividendo. So we'll subtract the numerator from denominator. So it will be 2u2 and then we'll add them. There will be 2u1 and it will be V minus U upon V plus U. So this 2 and 2 will cancel. So we'll get U2 upon U1 as V minus U upon V plus U, and that's your option number C. Now question number 53 is, an alloy P has copper and zinc in the proportion 5:2. So we have this alloy P in which proportion of copper to zinc, it is 5:2 by weight. And then we have another alloy Q which has the same metals in the proportion 3:4. So in this, proportion of copper to zinc is simply 3:4. Now if these two alloys are mixed in the proportion A:B by weight, a new alloy R is formed which has equal contents of copper and zinc. So we are mixing them in the proportion A:B. So what we'll say is, suppose weight of this mixture is A plus B, then we are taking A upon A plus B by weight P, and we are taking B upon A plus B Q. Now we'll take A upon A plus B weight of P, then in that case copper content will be 5A upon 7A plus B, and zinc content will be 2A upon 7A plus B. Now for this one, copper content will be 3B upon 7A plus B, and zinc will be 4/7. So there will be 4B upon 7A plus B. Now if we'll add copper content in both, then copper content in R, it will be 5A plus 3B upon 7A plus B, and if we'll take its zinc content, there'll be 2A plus 4B upon 7A plus B. Now it says this new alloy R has equal content of copper and zinc. So that means now the question says we need to find proportion of copper and zinc in the alloy S, which is formed by mixing the two alloys in the proportion B:A. So now we are mixing them in the ratio B:A, which is 3:1. So if in this alloy S we have to find fraction of copper, then it will be simply 5/7 into 3/4 plus 3/7 into 1/4. So there will be 15 plus 3, 18/28. And if we have to find fraction of zinc, so there will be 2/7 into 3/4 plus 4/7 into 1/4, and that is 10/28. So if we have to find ratio of copper is to zinc, so there will be simply 18/10, and that is 9/5, and that's your option number C. Now question number 54 is, how many different numbers can be formed by using only the digits 1 and 3 which are smaller than 3, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. So if we have any n digit number, then the total number of numbers that can be formed using these two digits will be, for each position we have two choices. So there will be 2, 2 and 2. So overall there will be 2n choices. So starting with one digit number, so there will be two choices. Then for 2 digit there will be 2 square, and then it will be 2 cube. And if we'll take 6 digit number, it will come to 2 to the power 6. Now what about 7 digit number? Now any 7 digit number which is smaller than 3 million should start with 1. So for this first position we have one choice, and then for the remaining positions we have two choices each. So again it will be 2 to the power 6. So number of such numbers will be this value. Now this is a GP, so we can write this as A, and this is r to the power n, so which is 2 to the power 6 minus 1 upon 2 minus 1 plus 2 to the power 6. So there'll be 2 to the power 7, which is 128 minus 2 and then plus 64, which is 190, and that's your option number C. Now question number 55, it is very interesting problem and it's similar to one of the past CMI's paper question. Now here it says there are n numbers a1, a2 up to an, and each of them they can be either plus 1 or minus 1. It says if it is known that a1, a2 plus a2, a3 plus a3, a4 and an, a1 their sum is 0, then which of the following option is correct? So we have these numbers which are arranged in some way, say on a circle, which is a1, a2, a3, a4, and then it'll be an minus 1 and then it is an. Now what we are doing is we are multiplying a1 with a2, a2 with a3, a3 with a4, and this process it continues up to an into a1. So if we look at these products, which is a1, a2, a2, a3, and it goes all the way up to an, a1. So how many products are there? So how many terms are there in this series? It starts with a1 and it ends with an. So there are n terms in this series. Now we know that when we multiply 1 with minus 1 or 1 with 1 or minus 1 with minus 1, then the only possible values are plus 1 or minus 1. Now since it is given that their sum is 0, so that means half of them they should have the value plus 1 and the other half should have the value minus 1. So that means n must be an even number. So n must be of the form sum 2n. So it simply means out of these n products, which is now 2m products, m products will have the value plus 1 and n products will have the value minus 1. Now it is possible to get this value 1 in two ways, when we'll multiply plus 1 with plus 1 or when we multiply this minus 1 with minus 1. But it is only possible to get this value minus 1 when only plus 1 gets multiplied with minus 1. So that means out of these 2m products, there'll be m products where plus 1 is multiplied with minus 1. So that means there'll be at least m minus 1s. These n minus 1 will give the value minus 1 only when they are multiplied with plus 1. So that means there should be at least m plus 1s also. Now since total number of n is 2m, so it cannot be greater than n. So it clearly means that in this sequence there should be exactly m plus 1s and there should be exactly m minus 1s. Now we need to arrange these plus and minus in such a way that they cancel out and the result comes to be 0. Now if we arrange these numbers alternatively, then in that case each of this product will be simply minus 1, and in that case the sum can never be 0. Now we'll take them in a pair of 2. Then say for example, suppose we have plus plus minus minus plus plus. Now plus into plus is plus 1, plus into minus is minus 1, minus into minus is plus 1, minus plus minus 1. So then we'll get this alternate plus minus which will eventually get cancelled. So we'll pair two positive signs together and two negative signs together. Only then it is possible to cancel out plus terms with minus terms. So that means for each of these n positives and each of these m negatives, there should be m by 2 pairs of plus 1s and m by 2 pairs of minus 1s. Only then this sum it will result in 0. So which simply means m is divisible by 2. So that means this m it is of the form sum 2k. Now n is 2m and m is 2k. So from here we'll write n is equal to sum 4k. So it is only possible when the value of n is a multiple of 4. So n can be any multiple of 4 and that's your option number C. Now questions from 56 to 60, they are all based on this given data. So it says, analyze the given data for exports and imports of rubber from 2006 to 2017 and answer the questions based on the analysis. Now this black bar graph, it represents export, and this white one, it represents imports. Now question number 56, it says we need to find average annual export for this given period from 2006 to 2017. And we'll need to find this result in approximate terms. So we are looking for exports, which is in black. So this one, we'll say suppose this is 280. This one is again suppose 280. This one is 230. This is 210. This is 200. This one is 220. This is nearly 210. This one is 200, 200, 200, 220, and this again is 200. Now we need to find average of all these numbers. So average of all these numbers, or average of exports, there will be 280 into 2 plus 230, and then 210 here, 210 here. So there will be 2 into 210 plus 2 into 220, and then plus 5 into 200 divided by 12. So this value is nearly, so this value is 2650 upon 12, and that is 220.83, so which is nearly 220 crore, and that's your option number B. Now question number 57, it says the percentage decline in exports during the period 2006 to 2011 is more than the percentage decline in export during 2012 and 2017 by approximately what percent? Now in 2006, exports were nearly 280, and in 2011 they are 220. So percentage decline in this first period, it is 280 minus 220, there will be 60. So it will be 60 into 100 divided by 280, and that is 600 divided by 28, which is nearly 21.4%. Now during the second interval, which is from 2012 to 2017, so in 2012, so value of export is 210, and 2017 this value is simply 200. So here reduction is 10 into 100 upon 210, and there will be simply 100 by 21, which is nearly 4.76%. So what is the difference between the two percentage decline? So this difference is nearly 16.6 or nearly 16.5, and that's your option A. Now question number 58, it says find the maximum difference between import and export. We'll look at this one, this one, this one, and also this one. I think it'll be 2014. Now in this case, exports are at 200 and imports they stand at 320. So 320 minus 200 is 120, and that's your option C. So the maximum difference is in the year 2014, and it is 120 crores. Now question number 59, it says balance of trade is defined as import subtracted from export, that is exports minus import. Then it says which of the following block of 3 years has witnessed the largest average negative balance of trade. So first block is from 2017 to 2009, second one is 2015 to 2017, third one is from 2014 to 2016, and the next one is from 2010 to 2012. Now we need to find average negative balance of trade. Now just by looking at this graph, we know that these two blocks, one from 2010 to 2012 and this other block which is from 2014 to 2016. There are more variations in export and import than in these two, from 2007 to 2009 or from 2015 to 2017. So I think if we'll compare these two blocks, we'll get our answer. So it should be either of the two, either from 10 to 12 or from 14 to 16. Now first we'll take this period which is from 2010 to 2012. So in this case, net exports, they stand at 200 plus 220 plus again plus 210, and there'll be 630. Now if we look at imports in the same period, imports in this period are 310 plus 290 and then plus 320. So there'll be 920. So balance of trade in this period, it is 630 minus 920, which is minus 290. Now if we look at the second one, which is from 2014 to 2016. Now in this case, exports are at 200, 200 and 220. So there'll be 620, and in this case imports they're at 320, 310 and plus 250. So it'll be 880. So in this case, balance of trade, it will be 620 minus 880, and that is minus 260. So the largest deficit is in this range, which is from 2010 to 2012, and that's your option number D. And now the last question is, the percentage increase in imports over the previous year is maximum during which period? So we are given from 2009 to 2010. Next one is from 10 to 11, then 13 to 14, and then from 2008 to 2009. Now in 2008, they stand at 260, and here this value is 280. So here percentage change will be 20 by 260. Now for this next one, this value stands at 310. So it'll be 30 by 280. Now between 2010 and 2011, this actually is negative, so we won't even consider it. And then from 13 to 14, it starts from 300 and it goes all the way up to 320. So here it will be 20 by 300. So 20 by 260 is nearly 7.69%. 30 divided by 280 is nearly 10.71%. So that means this increase from 2009 to 2010, it has the maximum percentage increase, and the answer to this question will be this option number A.